But I realize that it's just up to Allah. Whomever He chooses, whenever He chooses, those are the people who He blesses. And so that's the question. Will Allah use us for this deen? And there's an application process. Now look, when you want to get to medical school, right, people will come to me and they'll say, I want to go to medical school. Tell me, what kind of grades do I need? What do I need to get on my entrance exams? What's the best type of research that I can do? What type of activities can I get involved in? You think about the application process. Why? Because there's a committee of human beings, 5, 6, 7 human beings, who sit on the admissions committee, and they will decide, will this individual be admitted into the medical school, or will he be rejected? And for that decision, one decision, accepted or rejected, people spend years developing themselves. And they spend years seeking advice of individuals, and planning, and making strategies, and thinking, this year I'll take this class, next year I'll take that class, the year after I'll take these 2 classes. Everything is so planned and so coordinated. Well, the same application process exists before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to present ourselves before Allah, and we have to hope that He accepts us to guide other people to His name. And that He accepts us to be among those who can taste the benefits of being close to Him. Right? There's 2 benefits involved. 1, being close to Him, and 2, guiding other people to that closeness. And let me tell you the truth. I studied medicine in a $50 million medical school building. That medical school building was built, and I was the first class. My class was the first class to use that building. $50 million was spent, US dollars, was spent on 400 medical students. There are 400 people in 4 classes, 100 per year in my medical school. I studied in that building with every luxury. There was a separate coffee shop for the medical students. There was a separate computer lab for the medical students. There were 25 classrooms for 400 medical students, each with the state-of-the-art projection systems, sound dynamics, acoustics, everything to make you a perfect doctor. But let me tell you, the opposite extreme. When I left medical school for a period of time. And when I left medical school and I went to study in the Madrassa, were you to take a camera and you were to show people the picture of that place, you know how they say if you give 10 cents, these people can eat for a week, and then they show you these pictures of how the place actually is? That's exactly how my Madrassa was. It was in the middle of a jungle. There were scorpions. We used to get bit left and right. We used to sleep on the hard floor, and it used to be an oven. The sun would shine down on that clay building, and it would cook us like we were in an oven. We would have our tongues hanging out, and we would be looking at one another in the dead heat. We wouldn't even be able to speak. In fact, I used to drink hot water, to tell you the truth. I used to have a bottle of water, and it used to get hot because that whole room was such an oven that it would heat up that bottle of water. Yet, the pleasure that I experienced in studying in that madrasa for 2.5 years was better than any pleasure that I've experienced anywhere in the world. I'm telling you, it was better than anything I've experienced anywhere in the world. And I look back at those days, and I just sit back and I say, SubhanAllah, would that I could be back in that situation. I mean, I've had that experience that maybe other people don't have, that I've sat on both ends of the extreme. And I'm telling you that the taste of the deen far outweighs any taste that you can ever experience from anything in this world. It just far outweighs. That closeness to Allah, that tear that runs down your face, that shiver that runs down your spine is more than anything in the world. And were you to bring all the wealth of the world, you could not purchase that feeling. You cannot. The way it's earned is by sacrificing. And I'll tell you the truth, it took 18 months in the madrasa before I really began to experience this deen. And I said to myself, SubhanAllah, in this heat, with these sicknesses, under these circumstances, it took 18 months. What happens to me when I go back home? I mean, I used to just say, what will happen to me when I go back home? So, our deen actually lies in sacrificing for the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our mashayikh used to say that if the khalifas, if the governors of the Islamic State knew the ecstasy that we experience on our musalla, they would bring their armies in order to conquer our musalla. That's the certainty with which they spoke. So that's the challenge that befalls you. Many of us have made the mistake of seeking the pleasures of this world. Know that those pleasures, they are very quick to pass, and they will not be lasting. Others of us seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a permanent pleasure. It gives you peace in this world, and it gives you success in the hereafter. And I'll relate one final closing story. It's not a story, it's actually a narration. And then inshallah we'll close this session. If you look in the book of Imam Ibn Kathir, famous mufassir of the Quran, he says that he's narrating actually an occasion in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam every morning after the Fajr prayer used to ask the people, his companions, which one of you have seen a dream? Every